Order. We're here to discuss personal property tax concerns, basically to hear from Israel, so I will turn this over to you to tell us what's going on.
Okay, did you guys talk to Jerry at all? Did he kind of give you a lowdown of what was happening on my property?
Yeah, I think we.
Yes.
We
How it happened.
we got a little bit of background.
Okay, so, my property is small. I usually get about $60 a month, or $60 a year, is the value or the cost I pay in taxes. So this year, apparently it was the second, form that I had gotten, or I had received, and it showed it was like $650. I don't have the form with me, because I couldn't find it in the house, but it jumped up, exponentially in cost. And so I called here when I had received it, and I said, hey guys, why did it jump up so much?
I printed it for you.
Oh, look at that, that was 80 cents off, $649.20. So it jumped up exponentially, and so I called in, and they're like, well, we think just because, people building around the area, costs went up. And now that I'm thinking about it, it may have been after the first time that I received my call. Because I never brought it back up again until I was doing some purchasing a property. And I talked to Jerry about it, and I'm like, why did this jump up so much? And he said, well, we got new people here, and apparently one of the gals came out. You have a no trespassing sign on your gate. She didn't come out, but she saw that you had storage out there. And so they assumed that I had power out there and municipals. I have none of that. I just have basically a Connex with a lean-to, and it stores all my tools right now. In the future, I do want to build on a property, but we're nowhere near that yet, so we just don't have anything. So apparently she said that she assumed that it had power on it. So that's why the price went up. I was like, all right, well, how do we fix that? And Jerry's like, okay. Well, if you had caught us the first time we sent out, the info, then we could have fixed it. All right. Well, I didn't see that. Well, I got this one. And, okay, well, can't do anything unless you talk to the commission. See what the commission says, and there is a possibility of forgiveness. I'm like, all right. So my question is, I mean, since it's not my fault, I didn't add anything to it. The gal did come back out again, and she's super sweet lady, super sweet girl, but she had no idea what she was even looking at even when we met. So I says, future, really easy, to determine if there's power out there. There's a transformer anywhere near on a power pole. And there's no transformers for a half a mile from my parents' place all the way down to the other neighbors. So just stuff like that. She didn't know what was going on. Anyway, I still want to have to pay that price because somebody else had made a mistake.
Did you consider doing the appeal within time, once you got your appraisal in the mail?
So the second one, that's when I talked to Jerry, and he said to meet with you guys to see if I get forgiveness. And that's it. I haven't done anything else other than that, other than talk to them directly, and they said I couldn't do anything until the following year.
Just like everyone gets their appraised assessed value, and they send it out in a timely manner, and then there's a time frame that you have to appeal that and come in. See, what happens is now after the fact, our taxing districts that you're in have been sent their portions of the taxes, and it takes a trickle effect. If we were to forgive that, we have to go take that money back.
Right. Well, my point being is this, so it was an assessed value, it was a misassessed value. So she didn't actually go on the property and assess anything, she guessed. So it wasn't an assess, it was a guess. And so they guessed incorrectly. And I have to pay that. I have to take care of that. That's my fault, according to the rules of engagement. That being said, I asked Jerry, I says, well, okay, so if you guys don't forgive, this error, and I end up having to pay it next year, he said, yeah, absolutely, it can get reassessed, and then it'll get us reassessed accordingly. I'm like, great, well, at this point, I've already paid, $600 some odd. Can that get, not reimbursed to me, but can it get flaked out over the next few years? And he said, no, can't do that either. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I would like the forgiveness. I mean, it wasn't my fault. It's not something I did. And I'm sure everything came out in a timely order, I'm sure everything was mailed. I didn't get the first one, but I did get the second one, and I made steps to try to get it taken care of. I guess this being my, other than talking to Jerry, this being my first step, I don't know what I need to do other than that.
Has Jerry reassessed it for next year at a lower rate?
Not yet. I don't believe.
You said she came back out, what?
Yes, so she came back, the gal came back out with another training, so basically she was new, and she also had a training gentleman with her. I think his name, maybe I did, I don't remember.
James.
What is it?
Probably James.
Younger kid, yeah. So they just came out, they just basically stood there and let me explain everything to them, they're like, okay, took their notes and left.
Well, what I understood from doing the background looking at this was that Jerry has acknowledged that they messed up and they sent it back out and they're gonna reassess it back at a different rate for next year. That's what my understanding is, that they've acknowledged that they
Okay.
made an error.
Okay.
And they'll put it back at a correct assessment for next year, isn't that what
That's
we-
my
that's what
Okay.
we-
discussion with him as well, yeah.
Okay. And that's as it should be, they caught the mistake and they put it back. The challenge is, you miss the deadline that we have to hold everybody accountable to if you wanna argue your assessment, you gotta get it in before the deadline. Otherwise, by law, I don't know what else we can do. You have any ideas? Have you looked at the code on this?
He was just saying, Jerry was saying that it's possible that you guys can look at it and do what's called a forgiveness. I am politically about as smart as a wood rat.
You and me.
So, so I don't know what really my options, is. I'm just kind of pleading this.
Yeah.
See what you guys-
You know, what we
And
do,
that's
we do
unfortunate,
taxes on, tax arrearage is what basically, the commissioners forgive on an arrearage, but this is something that, it's not an arrearage.
Right.
So if it was passed, it's not a hardship arrearage, so, you know, the thing is you were given, this is twice, right? You paid the one before, and then now you've received another one, and then this is the other one you received in November.
No, so I have never received, last year I paid my, the year before it was just this year that I got the $650. So I haven't paid anything on it yet. Nothing's been paid, period. I just don't wanna pay it.
I don't blame you. And they did make the error, but that still leaves us stuck with the deadline that everybody in the county has to
So,
file their complaints by, that we,
back of your statement, you have all your steps and guidelines that shows that you have to appeal, and we get a lot of them.
Okay.
but it would have had to have been done when that first notice came.
And that's what Jerry was explaining to me, and he's like, I love you, Israel, but you're kinda.
Sorry, it's
you know.
unfortunate.
And that's why he said
Happened.
present it to you, because if I present it to you, it's a possibility that you go, okay, yeah, I understand, or tough luck.
I understand, I just don't know any way around the law on the deadlines for that. And of course, if we didn't have that deadline, then we'd never be able to set taxes, so, so if we changed yours, then, in theory, anybody who came in and said, yeah, I meant to complain about it and I didn't, but tax bill's already gone, so.
Gotcha. So I guess if you can't do anything about it, I just want this to be on record that I was charged incorrectly. I will be paying that incorrectly, but I will never get a reimbursement off of that. So basically, my money will be giving to the commish or wherever, the state, county, fraudulently. Doesn't matter what law is out there, I'm not saying not what law, but timing wise, it's still an incorrect assessment, incorrectly taken, and not fixed.
And that's why you
Except
should have
for the following.
done your appeal, so it could have been reviewed.
Which is why I'm saying I didn't know that I had an initial one. I did get the second one, and that's when I talked to Jerry, and apparently after that I didn't,
I think this is a hard thing. Yeah, it's a raw deal. I think the law assumes that as tax property owners, we all know we get these assessments at the same time every year. So if you didn't get it, you'd be looking for it. The law, they've already set out, if you don't like it, because accidents do happen or mistakes happen, if you don't like it, you have until a certain date to appeal it. it's unfortunate, I don't think it's a fraud, I think they made a mistake. I understand that they've acknowledged that they're gonna fix it, but the other mistake made was, as a homeowner, we have to watch our stuff, and we have to know that if I don't get my tax assessment, I need to be called and ask them what's going on, because something's happened to my mail, or, you know, something's gone on. I mean, there is some responsibility that falls on the property owner to say, I have to pay this every year, I haven't gotten a bill, what's going on? Oh, and when I do get it, I gotta read the back, and then there it says I have X days to take care of this. So I don't want you to feel, I understand where you're feeling, it's a raw deal. I just, by law, I don't know how many remedies we have for it. I'm not sure what Jerry was thinking of. Nothing I've been able to find, because ever since I knew you were coming, I know we've all been reading and trying to figure this
Nothing's-
out. But so it's not a lack of acknowledging that you got a bad assessment, and which I understand they're fixing. We're just acknowledging Idaho law and code says that you've got that deadline you've got to hit.
You're still going to pay it. You don't actually owe it, but you're still going to pay it, and we're still going to accept it.
Well, that would be one way of saying it. You could also say that you do actually owe it because you weren't able or didn't file by the deadline.
That'd be correct, but it's not accurate. It's only accurate,
Did you file by
Because-
the deadline?
no, because I wasn't aware. I was
Yeah.
not aware. It doesn't matter if they say I did send it, I did give that to you, great. They had no, it was a misassessment. It was, I mean, I can beat a dead horse. It's as deep as a dead horse at this point. So,
It's not a lack of empathy. I think it's a bad deal. I just don't know legally what options we have. I'm not sure what Jerry was thinking when he suggested you come here, because I
well,
don't.
Jerry's a good friend of mine, and he wants me to hit every outlet I can.
That's good.
He goes, if there's an outlet that I can steer you to, that's where I'm gonna steer you to. So whether he, knew it could be taken off or not, he's going to steer me in a way that I
Yeah.
can,
That's good. How about other questions from the board? Any?
I don't have any, no.
Okay. Entertain a motion from the board. Does anybody feel like we can take action of any kind on this? I guess a lack of action leaves it stand where it is, but
Yeah, I don't see how we can forgive when there's been notice and ample time to appeal, just like everyone else has put their appeals in. I know it's unfortunate, I'm sorry for the assessment,
yeah.
so,
Any thoughts?
No, I don't. I'll second the motion.
Well, we don't have a motion.
Okay.
just,
We're just letting it lie. I'm sorry,
I don't see anything we can do. You miss the
Within the
deadline
law.
and there's nothing, like I said, we're, the equalization board is for taxes that are, delinquent and people that are in trouble, so that's what we make the decisions on. The Idaho code basically states that you have a deadline to meet, and it's like everything else, I don't know if we can extend that deadline.
No, I don't need to extend the deadline.
the-
I'll take care of it. I will not let it go into arrears. I will take care of it.
No, I mean the deadline for you to file the complaint.
Oh, gotcha.
That's just the problem. The code is straightforward on the deadline. And I don't see where we can,
I don't see where we have the authority.
to do that, to go outside Idaho code.
Okay, well, what would be, since you don't have the authority to do that, you have the ability to ask those who have the authority, I'm guessing, to extend a deadline.
Well, what you're talking about is getting the Idaho legislature to change the law.
No, I'm just asking that, like what you just said, since you don't have the power to extend the deadline, who would have it? Would have to go into a law? It would have
we
to
can't
go
go
into
outside of the law,
the
codes
law.
that we have to abide by.
They would have to change the law that sets the deadlines.
They couldn't give you a, say, hey, this, okay, in this case, we will allow.
Now, deadlines are usually deadlines, and even, when you go to court, on the bankruptcy side of matters, a deadline's a deadline, and somebody misses the deadline, there's nothing really the judge can do. I'm not sure. you know, cause Idaho code's the Idaho code. And it's drawn out and it talks about the deadline, so
Now, if you come up with another idea, let us know. I just don't know, short of getting the legislature to change the rule, I don't know how we don't have the authority to break their rule.
Good.
But, I can feel your frustration, I'm sorry.
Well, it's just my frustration of reasoning. The
That is what
reasoning,
makes it.
it doesn't, I'm trying to reason through this, and it's like reasoning is fighting unreasonable. If something's unreasonable, you can't reason with unreasonable. And that's what I'm fighting with.
Well, yeah, we're stuck in a system that was meant to apply to the whole population, and they just didn't give us any legal ways around that, and you can see, if there was a way around it, it would be hard to run the system, because at no point could we ever say for sure how many tax dollars, so they set a deadline. And it's great until you miss it, and then it's a bad thing, but.
Gotcha, okay, I understand.
But I do empathize with you. I appreciate you taking the time, and if you come up with some legal thought or some further guidance, don't hesitate to call back.
Okay, exactly, okay. Do you guys offhand have, well, I can go talk to Jerry, and see when the deadline is for the payment of receipts.
Yeah, our treasurer's office.
Yeah, the treasurer's office gets the tax bills.
Gotcha, okay.
All
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Well,
All
thank
right.
you.
Thanks for reading.
Thank you.
Appreciate
It's
it.
good to see you again. You're a little taller than the last time.
No, I'm just fatter. Same size.
All right.
Yeah, that's all yours.
This meeting is adjourned.